Hi Rohit, thank you so much for joining in, and hi everybody. Good evening. Today's session is a bit special because founders like you have built something and grown up, and now looking to back other founders in the startup ecosystem. And today we have Rohit Chanana, who has worked with Hero families, Munjal family, and spent more than over 37 years in his corporate life, and now he's a well-seasoned known angel investors who have invested in more than 60 companies. And apart from that, he has been quietly very active in helping mentoring startups. He have mentored over 500 startups, and we are glad to have you here, Rohit. And Rohit usually calls me Dost, and I was a bit amazed that why does he call me Dost? But I got a chance to go through Rohit's debut book, which calls Dil Se Dost. I have it here. I'll also send you guys link to purchase it from Amazon. And I was going through his book, and I was quite amazed to see his philosophy, and how he's more than willing to help other founders in the ecosystem, and he's always there to help them out, and how he feels that everything which we do in a life, it should be always dil se. Dil se means from the heart, from the core of the heart. And I have just completed reading his book, and while I was reading the entire book for past 2 3 days, I was going through each step Rohit must have been spent in all his life, and I was imagining myself being as a third person perspective, and it was quite amazing. Thank you so much, Rohit. I'll call you Dost. That's okay, right? Uh,
Absolutely, those.
yeah. Hi, Dost. So, we have folks here in the webinar who are looking, who have built their own businesses, and now they're looking to start their own investment journey. Would love to share. Would love to have your experience share with other folks into the society, in the community. Yeah, over to you.
So thank you all, those. So I think, you know what? So let me share with you my journey after having spent 37 years in professional companies. And, Durga Ma ने बोला कि आपका बहुत यहाँ काम हो गया because when you join a company like or a family run business, you never retire from there. You are always a part of that journey. And it is your choosing whether you want to move on or not.
Sure.
So मैं दुर्गा माँ का भक्त हूँ, तो उन्होंने बोला बेटा ये बहुत हो गया, अब ये यू हैव टू नाउ मेक इम्पैक्ट इन लाइव्स ऑफ पीपल. सो आई स्टार्टेड माय company called Sarcha Advisors, which is named after my parents. So first three letters of my parents, Sarla and Sardari, SAR, Channa, CHA, Sarcha. And interestingly, when I searched the meaning of Sarcha, it was, uh, almost what I wanted to do. So this is serendipity for me. And then I said, what is my purpose there for? So purpose was हंसू और हंसाऊं सारे जग में खुशियां फैलाऊं. The next thing I wanted to do was continue to be a 21-year-old student of psychology, philosophy, and digital technology. So psychology is all about dosti in one word. Philosophy is all about gratitude in one word, and digital technologies is, achieving moonshots. So that's how my journey started. I defined my values, and I said, मेरी फैमिली क्या बोलेगी, इतनी बढ़ती हुई सैलरी पोजीशन छोड़ के आप यहाँ पर आ गए. And the only way I could impact or many lives was through the uh, investment journey, the startup journey, because that is where if I work with you, I'm aligned with you, I can help you share my experiences, and you can make an impact. So it is not about who made the impact. So I can make the impact through you, right? So that is how I think about life. And I also did some math, so that you understand why I I'm very different from most angel investors. So मेरे को 3 या 4% की रिटर्न भी काफी थी, right? From startup today, I have, let's say, almost uh, 50% of my net worth logged into either venture debt or in startups. And the balance is, some bit of it in real estate, and the other is mutual funds. So I have not invested in public markets, even though they are lucrative, liquid, but मेरे को लक्ष्मी सरस्वती दोनों चाहिए. I am not looking at only, the Lakshmi, और लक्ष्मी भी हमारी लोगों की misunderstanding थोड़ी सी है कुछ, which is Lakshmi we relate to money, but it is actually Aishwarya, Vaibhav, Siddhi, right? So that is how it is. So therefore, this is the genesis behind uh, investing in startups. कि मेरे को लोगों की लाइफ इम्पैक्ट करनी है, and that is my goal. So I am therefore, in summary, not driven by returns. I am not driven by multi-baggers. I am driven more by impact. So I do a session with you for, let's say, the companies that I'm looking to invest with. I spent almost around, 2 hours with each of the founders, if possible. And I call it Dil Se investment philosophy. So when I spend time with you all, it is the biology, right? Second piece is chemistry. So biology is all about, who you are, आप कैसा सोचते हो, क्यों ऐसा सोचते हो, what are you going to do, what is your purpose, why are you setting up the business? And the second part is the chemistry, which is, do I know you well? Or do the people know you well, right? And if they know you well, can I talk to them? Yes or no? The third piece is around physics, which is the science behind the business, whether it is, the supply chain, the product, the customer, the insight. So that is all physics. That's the science behind the company. And 10% is maths. So this is my investing philosophy. And I love spending time with, as I said, founders. And I'm more a founders first guy because I do seed and pre-seed. So I'm more a founders first guy. And it is to again create impact in lives of people. So I will rather stop here and, you know, eh, eh, suggest that you ask me any questions
Sure,
because
I'll
otherwise it'll be a monologue.
Yeah, in meanwhile, I'll request all the people in audience that you can drop in your questions in Q&A section, and we'll try to answer your questions one by one. And in meanwhile, I have my few questions, especially from your book, right? And I wanted to start from there. So, first of all, let's start from your time at Munjals, right? So you were there, and you had mentioned that you guys were doing a deal, and that deal went off, and that's when you were sitting on a lot of liquid cash, dry powder, and you set up their family offices, and you started your investment through them in the debt market. And you mentioned that you had made a page, a 16-pager a thesis on investing in debt markets, right? And post that, you started investing in private equity, and you just had one pager that's what's do's and don'ts, right? So can you talk about that? What was exactly, and how were you that much bullish on PE?
Whenever you guys, my belief is that most of you have made recent exits and you want to decide where to invest and why to invest, right? So it's a function of what is my risk appetite. अगर मेरे पास मैंने आज 10 लाख रुपया एक कंपनी में डाले, इफ इट गोज अंडर, हाउ विल आई रिएक्ट, राइट? मेरे को रात की नींद आएगी या नहीं आएगी? सो इट स्टार्टेड ऑफ विद, almost like a risk-free return basis. So my boss was most interested in investing in debt market, which was very liquid. The tenor was, let's say, maybe 3 months. I created a investment policy statement of 16 pages, right? And got it validated from some of the wealth advisors and then also Crisil. So that's how the journey started. So it started with a debt market where you were very clear that I don't want to lose money, right? So safety, liquidity, and then return. So that was the philosophy: safety, liquidity, and returns. Whereas you are starting from, if you do angel investing, it is high risk and no liquidity, and you can lose entire money. Whereas in public markets, public equity markets, it could be you may lose 10%, 15%, but the markets have the tendency to go up and down. And the equity market policy statement was just half a page. And what that means is you define what am I going to invest in, what are the no's and what are the yeses. So that is what, we did. And fortunately, God has been kind because it was the proprietary money. So we would always deliver much better returns than the mutual funds or PMS investments.
Uh, those you have, I mean, you have worked with the largest corporation of India and global, right? And when you decided to step down from your position at Hero, what was that one thought which intrigued you that you should now invest in early stage startups? What was that thought?
So I think I already shared this journey
Right,
that मैं दुर्गा माँ का भक्त हूँ उन्होंने बोला that you have to make impact in lives of people.
right.
And there were very limited options, so I could have become a philanthropist, right? But that was not how life was to be. I am a firm believer of impact investing and not donating, right? So हंसू और हंसाऊं सारे जग में खुशियां फैलाऊं is my higher purpose. I am a student, 21-year-old student of psychology, philosophy, and digital technology, and I want to have Lakshmi and Saraswati both. Now, let me give you my philosophy as a guru, right? So I'm only 10% guru, okay? Which is inspire, energize, provide clarity of thought, and be with you 24/7 and insist that you stay with your core values. So that is the 10% part of it. But here is the real one. Even though I may be a 67-year-old, but when I'm talking to the founders, then the most important piece to me is that I am your mantri. It doesn't matter you are 23 and I am 67. So I have a mantri mindset, right? I cannot be driving them. And this is something that you guys will have to learn when you are investing because आप अपनी जर्नी में देखेंगे when you exited you hated people who would only come and give you advice or criticize you, right? So I help you find solutions. That is what I have enjoyed maximum, right? So 70% I am your Vidhur. You decide what you want to do, right? You will frame your questions to me. I will share with my first principle answers. 20% I am a child, so I'm more curious to learn. So that is my, guru ki philosophy, which aligns with my higher purpose, right? Of Hasu or Hasao and 21-year-old student.
I mean, we here at D2C Insider, we call our fund D2C as the super angel because we have people who have built their own businesses and now they are investing and giving back it to the community, right? And we call them super angel. But one of your friend calls you spiritual angel, and that's literally goes with your personality. And moving forward, I have few questions on me, which I have collected with few other founders, and we are getting few questions here in our chat box. So we'll try to cover one by one. And so I'll go with the first question, right? Most of the founders now who are looking to now become investors, they have a builder's tendency, right? So how do they differentiate themselves from becoming a builder than a backer? Because sometimes usually investors get too much involved in the startups in their operations, right? So how do you suggest founders whose tendency is to build to differentiate them from being a builder to a backer?
So I think this is a question which is personal to everyone, right?
Right.
Since I have defined my journey as, I want to be a curious learner, right? And I want to add value. I want to see you succeed, right? But I know I am not the owner, so I am your Vidhur. I am not the king. I am not the Raja. So I think most people should look at it that way. Point one, are you satisfied with this kind of an approach? If you are going to be hands-on, then rather become a founder than a backer. If you are only driven by making money, then you should be hands off. आपने दोस्ती बनाई founder से, and then you should be hands off, or because you will have multiple other things to do. So be very clear. How am I, you know, why am I investing? So is it for money? Is it for, backing these founders? So one of the things that have worked well in the US is that most founders who have created company want to promote other founders. India may angel platforms, sorry to say, but angel platforms or VCs, are more spreadsheet based. The risk appetite is very minimal. So if you are investing in a startup, be very clear that you are not the boss. You are the support and you are a backer. And backer also depending on how much time you want to invest there and why. So आपको कुछ सीखने के लिए करा है, आपने कुछ पैसे लगाने के, you know, you have to help, guide or mentor. My definition of mentor, as I just explained, needs to be, I need to be parent only 10% of the time कि ये करो ये नहीं करो, right? And most importantly, to my mind, these are only two things: inspire, energize, and provide clarity of thought. That should be your role as a backer,
Right.
and be a support as much as you can.
Thank you so much for answering that. Uh, those you have invested in more than 60 companies. You have extensive portfolio, which goes with your first investment at Joe Stock. Then the list goes on: e-bike, Truly Madly, Stage, Stag, the new shop, right? Even Big Bang Boom, the defense company you have invested in, AI company, Devnagari, right? Ghost Stops, the hospitality. So how do you define your personal investment thesis? I mean, what do you exactly look for? Because people usually
तो
keep chasing.
बेसिकली एक फाउंडर को बैक करता हूँ, मैं उसको समझता हूँ, राइट? एंड आई नो गुड फाउंडर्स ड्रिवन बाय वैल्यू, सो वैल्यूज, वैल्यू एंड वैल्यू क्रिएशन. So do I, am I driven by values, right? Is that my core purpose? I will not compromise on. Value is my distinctive value proposition, right? And if you have these two marry each other, then value creation happens. So are you coachable? Are you really open to listen to people, right? So are you values driven? Do you listen to people? What is the purpose behind what you're doing, right? So mine is truly in a way a founders first company. Idea, जैसे मैंने बोला, 60% is on the bio part of it, 10% is chemistry, 20% अगर ये दोनों क्लियर हो जाते हैं तभी मैं फिजिक्स पे आता हूँ, राइट? सो व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? तो उसमें वो दोस्ती दोस्ती में दोस्ती बन जाती है. इट इज नॉट एज इफ दैट एवरीथिंग विल सक्सीड, बट एक दुर्गा माँ की शक्ति है कि कुछ मतलब वो ऐसे दोस्तों से मिलवा देती है. सो विच इज नॉट टू से दैट आई हैव बीन सक्सेसफुल इन ऑल द कंपनीज. 13 of my companies went under out of these 65, which is 20%. Most of them I have gone under primarily because of COVID. And the second and third most important reason has been the founder rift. And the third is we don't take care of our cash flows.
Right. I'll take a few questions from the audience. I have an anonymous attendee here. Okay, I guess we have answered this already. How many investment do you do in a year? How much do you invest for startups? Okay. Would you mind sharing about that? I mean, in terms of apart from, of course, the backing of startup, is there a number which you look after? How much you should invest? I mean, how much investment should you make within a year
So
since
since I am a seed and pre-seed, right, and I want to meet as many founders or invest in as many founders, so I typically try and do a pre-seed or a seed at 20 to $25,000. Initially, the number was much more higher, but वो एक सबसे दोस्ती बन जाती थी तो लगातार पैसे I kept on investing, and I broke all my rules. And then my daughter, who joined me as my investment partner, she said, I will not let you do this, otherwise तो आप सारा पैसा ही लिक्विड में लगा दोगे, स्टार्टअप्स में, because you are too driven by emotion. And God has been kind कि अच्छे दोस्त मिलते थे. तो एक कंपनी where I did not follow the uh, rules of diversification, right? I had invested 10% in that company and I lost that 10%. आप एक चीज समझ लीजिए, the losses happen much more sooner, right? than the profits, right? So a profit exit could take anywhere between 5 to 7 years or 8 years. A loss exit can happen in maybe 2 to 3 years as well.
Right.
So you have to be very clear on your philosophy, on your diversification. अपने rules of engagement बहुत clear करने हैं, and you should be clear कि अगर पैसा चला गया so what. So basically अभी मैं एक दोस्त के साथ बात कर रहा था, उसने मेरे को दो चीजें सिखाई. He was a young guy, so I was giving you know I was taking a session like this. So he says, रोहित जी आप gratitude की बात करते हो, दोस्ती की बात करते हो, but let me give you my 2 bits of how I look at life. तो आप या जीतोगे या सीखोगे, right? So therefore, I am winning either ways. Now, in the context of angel investing, you have to be very clear that, not every bet will be a big bet, will give you money. There will be losses, but what have I learned, right, is more important. तो या जीतोगे या सीखोगे.
Sure. I have Mansing just while asking in terms of weightage of founders and the idea, how does you weight tilt towards? I guess Rohit has answered that questions earlier that he has a founder first approach. And then we have another question, it's an interesting one. Uh, Anureem's asked, do you even find any major attitude difference between today's Gen Z founders, vice versa, previous generation founders? I guess you have mentioned about your time working with Ritesh Agrawal when he was building Oyo at initial stage, right? He comes from a millennium background and he was still young during that time. So how do you see this both generation nowadays? Do you see any major
So there
difference?
is no concept of generation. इंसान इंसान ही होता है, वो पहले हो आप हो. It doesn't really matter. It's a function of needs and wants. अभी क्या है कि now that we have seen a few unicorns coming in. So we are only driven by unicorns, but we don't really talk about that 99 or 95% of investments have failed, right? So आदमी तो इंसान ही है, बट हमारी एस्पिरेशन थोड़ी बढ़ गई कि हम 3 साल में पैसे बनाएंगे या 5 साल में पैसे बनाएंगे. आई वॉन्ट टू बिकम अ यूनिकॉर्न. नाउ दिस इज ऑल्सो बिकॉज लोग क्या कहेंगे, राइट? वी आर ड्रिवन बाय द एस्पिरेशन ऑफ पीपल, नॉट माई ओन एस्पिरेशन. I don't think आदमी बदला है. It is just that, you have seen so many successes, right? Only the successes are highlighted, not the failures. So, आदमी नहीं बदला है ऐसे. सिर्फ हमारी वो needs और wants बदल गई है. That's the only difference.
Sure. Deepika is asking if the founders backed approach, if it is a founder backed approach, what are the parameters of assessments? I guess Rohit already mentioned that the first thing and the major thing should be the founder should be
So
coach.
maybe do you think it'll be a better format if, you allow them to ask a question directly? So maybe you
Uh,
can just name them and you can allow them to ask that question. Is that possible?
so this is a
चलिए छोड़
webinar.
दीजिए. Okay, don't worry about it. Let's just go the way format that you follow.
Sure. I mean, this is a webinar format, so people are usually typing in their questions. So we have around 34 people live right now with us. And I'll take the another one. Suresh, okay. Suresh has this question. Do you always request a board seat, and how much interference should a founder expect from investors in operations?
So zero, zero. It should only be to ensure, as I said, the 10%, which is ensure that you stay with your values. Investors continue to, inspire them, energize them, provide clarity of thought. And given that we are angel investors, so there could be maybe 10, 20, 50. And you don't expect the founder to be answering all the 50 people, right? Let him choose who he wants to answer. So that, and when you are discussing with them or you have thought through your investing philosophy. So let me tell you what I do. So I did not invest in the last 9 months because I could not find people with values and who were driven by disruption. So most of these were Me Too companies, right? So these three people who I am investing, mine is a small check, they have a larger round. So I'm very clear that I can call you at 10 p.m. in the night, so can you. And trust me, I will be only adding value to you rather than, being a burden on you. So वो 2 घंटे में दोस्ती बन जाती है तो most of the time what I have found is people are saying we are taking you on not for your equity because पैसे तो मैं कहीं से इकट्ठे कर लूंगा बट आपका दिमाग आपकी वैल्यू मुझे चाहिए.
Got it. I
And
have a
similarly, like, most of these founders who would have, exited and they are wanting to reinvest their own money, right? I'm sure they would hate people coming in and asking them questions, right? And adding no value, being a critique and no value addition. So I don't think that should be the approach.
So, I have Bindu Bajpai asking a following up question similar to this. She says, "Hi, so as someone who backs founder, I am curious to know what's a major red flag for you when you are evaluating a founder."
So basically, अगर values driven नहीं है, तो that is a no-no to me.
Got it.
If you're not values driven, मतलब आपने कुछ ऐसा बोल दिया, तो वो मजा नहीं आता है. You should be driven by values. That is more important to me. And you are trying to, not be honest. You don't respect some time, right? मैं कुछ बोल रहा हूँ तो आप सुन ही नहीं रहे हो. आप अपनी कहानी सुनाए जा रहे हो. So, are you coachable? Are you not coachable? Coachable की different, it's not coachable as coachable. Basically, are you willing to listen to the external voice?
Sure. Thank you for that answering. We have another anonymous user asking, you mentioned you expect only 3 to 4% return. Is that the exception today as well? And do you still hold this? With the kind of return expectation, won't there be any many startups to invest in which?
Sorry, I think maybe I have not communicated well. I am saying that, even a 3 to 4% investment coupled with Saraswati Gyan is fine with me. उससे ज्यादा मिले तो मैं उससे मना थोड़ी करूंगा. I'm just setting the right expectations. I'm setting the bar for myself because there are, so as I said, 13 of my companies have failed primarily because of COVID and four have done well. So वो जितना मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट था स्टार्टअप का वो सारा निकल गया ये चार एग्जिट से.
But one more questions which a lot of many founders who are looking to invest has that whether they should go through a syndicate model or they should start investing through their own on personal deal to deal basis. What
So
do you
I'll
say?
give you this example from my personal journey at Hero. So we invested in a fund manager. We did not go directly into taking stakes. My personal recommendation would be for you to, select the right fund manager. So when I say fund manager, I will give you an example. So I will only give the one which I believe I can trust. So that is any gut angel fund. They have their skin in the game. They are not about quantity. They are about quality. सो 20 से 25% पैसा अपना लगाते हैं वो, राइट? द फाउंडर ग्रुप और द द जीपीस.
Right.
मोस्ट अदर प्लेसेस, पीपल डोंट इन्वेस्ट. दे आर ड्रिवन बाय क्वालिटी, बेसिकली टीआरपीस. कि मैंने 200 डील कर ली तो मेरा नाम, मैंने एक बहुत बड़ा झंडा गाड़ लिया, राइट? दैट इज नॉट हाउ इट शुड बी. So you should look through, experience a few pitches by yourself, right? A few pitches of these platforms, but be very clear as to is it my right fund manager? Yes or no. Is it my right platform? Yes or no.
And apart from this, is there any particular sector are you bullish about right now, or you think
So
people
उसमें
should?
मतलब वो एक दिल से connect हो जाता है. So for example, there are 8 or 10 rock star founders. So either they are driven by disruption in science or they are driven by disruption in business model. It can happen either ways.
Right. And I have one question from your book when I was going through. It says that 80% of your entire portfolio, startup portfolio, comes from of founders who comes from tier two and tier three cities, right? And I mean, we are seeing a lot of new founders coming from the cities, but 80% of your portfolio, if they are from this,
उसमें I will correct that. So they are born and raised
right?
in these cities, right? But उन्होंने जब स्टार्टअप सेटअप करा, maybe that is in Delhi because that is where the ecosystem exists. So they
Right.
come from, tier two and tier three.
Sure,
And
sure.
most of my founders are tier two and tier three institutions. So both in terms of, geography and the rating of the institutions. Uh, so there is no concept of that, if I am in IT and I'm bound to succeed. You can find people, they may not have got the right opportunity, right? But given the right opportunity, the right desire, the passion, the drive, people can make it from there as well.
Sure. We'll take a few more questions from the team. Can you, anonymous attendee say, can you talk more about the value driven and how do you measure this? How do you measure the value?
So, it's basically वो दिल से connect हो जाता है एक and I मेरे साथ एक सबसे बड़ी बात क्या है गॉड हैज बीन काइंड टू मी तो मैं दुर्गा माँ का शुरू से ही भक्त हूँ तो वो दुर्गा माँ क्वेश्चन पूछवाती है गणेश जी प्रोसेस करते हैं और सरस्वती माँ क्वेश्चंस पूछती है सो व्हेन पीपल आस्क मी कि आप ये यू हैव इन्वेस्टमेंट इन डाइवर्स फील्ड्स हाउ डू यू रियली आस्क दीज क्वेश्चंस तो उसे मैं क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछ रहा होता मैं तो एक माध्यम हूँ आई एम ओनली द मीडियम बट क्वेश्चंस तो ऊपर से ही आते हैं तो मेरा ब्रह्मांड जो है वही मेरा पूरा बैंक है सो उसमें डू आई सी ग्रैटिट्यूड इन यू डू आई सी यू नो लेट्स से ह्यूमिलिटी इन यू आर यू एरोगेंट तो दो तीन कंपनीज मैंने ऐसे so me and my daughter were sitting in a session in evaluating one of the founders तो उसमें मैं थोड़ी देर उठ के गया एंड द फाउंडर आस्क्ड माय डॉटर आप तो अपने पैसे अपने फादर के पैसे पे आए हो तो आप पार्टनर बन गए राइट so he was a wonderful investment for me I think he would have done well but I moved on immediately so उसमें ना the god has a way to send me signals right and I'm
Right.
able to read these signals.
We have one more questions. Okay, we have already answered this. Deepak is asking, how should someone start with who has never invested in startup? What should be the mindset and goal? I guess we have already discussed this questions early on. We'll move on to the next. Uh, is a founder back approach. Okay, we have discussed this also. Okay, so, Deepika Ghai is asking, is there any notable startup you want to discuss or you want to share about that out of your portfolio?
So, there are many. It'll be unfair if I don't, if I single out one or two of them. So, some of them which are top of the mind. So, for example, on, the business model, disruption in business model, stage, Vinay Singhal, who called me a spiritual investor, right, is the one. They went under and they came back again. And today it's an OTT platform they would be valued at anywhere between 600 to 800 crores. There is another one, which is New Shop. So all of these have very ambitious goals and they stick with these goals. They are executing on those goals, right? So New Shop ऐसी है एक. Then there is, scientific disruption, Big Bang boom that you spoke about. So this is only one PhD the time they started, youngest PhD, third youngest PhD, and they were doing something unique because they won 7 IDEX awards. So defense, uh, you know, DRDO, etc. They give you a problem. They don't give you how to solve for it. So he, along with 24 of his, team members, who are all below 25 years of age, were able to deliver some amazing innovations, right? And how could they do it? Because they could think frugally. ऐसे ही एक है बेटेक्स, right? The guy thinks from, or works on class 9 and 10 chemistry book, even though he may have written thesis for PhD students. So simplistic approach है. ऐसे ही एक वी genomics है, right? So she's out to make impact in rare disease. So my goal for her is, जो आज की डेट में जहां पर 50 लाख रुपया लगता है एक रेयर डिजीज ट्रीट होने में, एक सिंगल ट्रीटमेंट में, हाउ कैन वी गेट इट डाउन टू 50,000 रुपीज,
Right.
राइट? तो ऐसे यात्री कार्ड है, एंड देन देर आर few who have not made it to the top but are still as driven as they were 6 or 8 years ago. So two stories that come to mind is, one is Story Mirror. So this guy has invested. So he was an algo trader way back in 2014-15. And those time algo traders, you could count them on your fingertips globally. मतलब 1000 से ऊपर नहीं होते थे. And he left that and he said, I want to, ensure that my culture and my culture remains alive. Culture can remain alive through stories. तो उसके आज की डेट में भी उसके कंपनी में लिखा हुआ है 7 billion stories, 7 billion, people, and one platform. Now he sits in a chair, एक बच्चे की चेयर पे बैठता है और बच्चे की चेयर का ही टेबल है. He was making some amount of money, but अपना बहुत पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर दिया. But he still thinks that he will make it. तो उसमें अगर मेरा पैसा जाएगा भी ना, मेरे को दुख नहीं होगा, मेरे को ये होगा कि इससे कोशिश करी, पूरा पूरा लड़ा. Similarly, there's a company like JobsCar, right? So he's pivoted his business model almost thrice, and he's now found his product market fit. तो वो वही ट्रैवल करता है, कानपुर जाता है, बिकॉज द आइडिया इज टू हैव physical stores. Only online doesn't work to build the trust efficient. He's in the process of, the company helps you get jobs in 2 minutes or 3 minutes, right? मतलब कनेक्ट हो जाता है, उसमें जॉब मिले ना मिले वो एक बात. सो ही गोज देयर, वो ढूंढता है कि कानपुर में मेरा कोई रिश्तेदार है जिसके घर में मैं रह सकता हूँ, राइट? अपनी कार पे जाता है और वहां पर रहे, मुश्किल से गिने चुने पैसे खर्चे, एंड देन ही इज बैक. सो एक वो जो जज्बा है, जो पैशन है, जो ड्राइव है. सो देर आर पीपल हु हैव risen and are doing very well. They have, let's say, किसी में 10x हो गया मार्केट कैप, किसी में 20 भी हो गया. बट देन देर आर दी स्टोरीज, सो विच ऑल्सो इंस्पायर मी अलॉट. तो
Sure.
आपको मतलब वो इन्वेस्टर वो बैक करना चाहिए जो अपना कुछ स्किन इन द गेम है या नहीं है उसका. अगर उसके पास पैसे नहीं है तब बात दूसरी है. बट मोस्ट लाइकली इट जस्ट हैपन्स that I have the money but I don't want to put it. Why?
Good. I have two questions. We were discussing stage and then we were discussing Big Bang, right? एक तो stage से related मेरा personal question है. So that's how does a investor should react when they're seeing that their investment is going to be write-off, right? Because everybody, we know that it's a high risk and high reward game, and everybody is always looking for a good return on the investment they have made.
देखिए, एक मतलब बेसिक फिलॉसफी है इसमें जो लोग बोलते हैं, that only 80% or only 10 or 15% of your investments will succeed, and they will give you the kind of returns that you are looking for, right? Whether it is 20% compounded or 30% compounded or 15% compounded. तो उसमें अब ये जीतोगे या सीखोगे. सो एक तरफ मैं ये कहता हूँ, सो यू कांट हैव यू नो ओनली विनर्स, यू विल हैव लूजर्स. सो गो बैक विद माय फिलोसफी, या जीतोगे या सीखोगे. आपने एक अपना पोर्टफोलियो डिफाइन कर लिया कि मेरे को इन दिस पोर्टफोलियो आई शुड गेट अ रिटर्न ऑफ 15%, राइट? सो अगर किसी ने 100% दिया, चार ने जीरो कर दिया, वाई शुड इट मैटर? वो 100 को मैं नहीं देखता हूँ, बिकॉज मेरी जो वांट्स है वो ये नहीं चाहती कि कोई भी फेल हो. आई नो that I, 80% of the investments will fail, but when they fail, I don't take it into my stride.
Sure. So we were discussing Big Bang, and Anurima asked me, does educational pedigree also matters for the founder? And I'll put a context. Because we were discussing deep technology here, right? And the last fund I was working, we used to very proudly say that we are a fund of nerds and geeks, because that fund used to invest in AI startups, right? And we have this talk very much in the Indian startup ecosystem, that people who have a good pedigree, either they're from Ivy Leagues, from IIT and IIMs, they are the only one who are able to raise funds. So what do you think on this? What's your
तो
perspective?
मैंने आपको बताया, मतलब मेरे 80% लोग तो बाहर के ही हैं.
Right.
अब मे बी आई एम एक्सेप्शनल इन दिस, कि मेरे को वो वाले लोग मिलते हैं जो मेरे को कोर से अच्छे लगते हैं. Degrees do matter, but in 1 hour, 2 hours, you are able to figure out. So some of the ITNs, I have always said कि दोस्त अपनी beliefs घर छोड़ के आना, क्योंकि they are so much driven by the science. They are not driven by the cash flow, because मैंने प्रोडक्ट बना दिया तो मेरा बहुत अच्छा हो गया, आई विल सर्वाइव, आई विल विन, राइट. बट यू नॉट लुकिंग आउटसाइड इन, you're always looking inside out, that I am the boss. So one of the other learnings that I always insist, that do you value your ecosystem partners? आप उनकी भी उतनी इज्जत करते हो? Do you believe I survive because of them, or they survive because of me?
Right. Uh, I have Deepak Jain asking, if you have to choose one of the startup out of two, first having a strong projection of high valuation but zero profitability, and moving forward, the second one moving towards profitability, but valuation number is not growing. So what is
Sorry, I didn't get this question.
question is, if you have to choose one of the startup out of two to invest, right? Because we are seeing, I mean, as a VC, we usually try to take bet, and as an angel, we try to take bet at early stage. And a lot of companies we have seen that. So basically, the question is whether you should go with profitability or valuations.
So, valuation is an outcome. आज की डेट में क्या हुआ, मतलब पिछले 5-7 साल में, देयर वाज सम, you know, the investment winter. But typically the market was flooded with capital. So therefore there was a FOMO कि मैंने invest कर दिया, उसने कर दिया. So, I will be more driven by values, value, value creates profitability, and value creation or valuation is the outcome of these two.
Rightly said about that, right? Uh,
Sorry?
Rightly said. I mean, that's what we also here look for that, right? I have another question. This is an anonymous question. What is your thought on startup based out of NCR, Bangalore, and Mumbai? Do you give weightage to the location, or they're based out of? I mean, I guess we already have answered this.
So I have one of the, companies which was based out of Indore, राइट. गौरव राणा यात्री कार्ड.
Yeah.
सो इट डजंट रियली मैटर, आपको मतलब वो एक, उसमें जज्बा दिख रहा है, उसकी स्टोरी दिख रही है, ही सेकंड टाइम फाउंडर, राइट. एंड मेरे को सबसे ज्यादा मजा क्या आता है, जब मैं किसी फाउंडर को खुश होते देखता हूँ, तो उसमें मेरे को अपने दिल से खुशी मिलती है. सो देर आर टाइम्स व्हेन आई एम मोर हैप्पियर देन माय फाउंडर हिमसेल्फ, and that is all because I'm loving this journey.
Right. Select this. We have Sarthak asking, as a seasoned investor, I suppose you might have seen a lot of rising and fading trends in especially D2C domain, be it food and beverage, product, personal wellness. What do you suggest to young age founders who can stand out and embrace their individuality? So what do you think in general about how D2C or consumer is performing in India? What's your thought? What's your take on that?
So I have never focused on that. ये D2C में क्यों है, क्या है. अगर उसकी फाउंडर की पैशन में वो अपनी स्टोरी मेरे को अच्छे से बेच देता है, सो दैट इज गुड इनफ फॉर मी. उसका जज्बा क्या है, उसकी पैशन है, इज ही ऑब्सेस्ड, हाउ इज ही वर्किंग, व्हाट आर द एरियाज दैट दे आर फोकस्ड ऑन. सो आई विल, यू नो विमेन हाइजीन पे एक फाउंडर है, राइट. And there are many products in that women hygiene space. I will not name that product. So I chose her because she was so focused, so clear in her thought process. And more importantly, she came from a, operating background of having worked with P&G and couple of other companies, right? Snapdeal. तो मेरे को फाउंडर की जो पेडिग्री है ना, वो ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है कि उसने कितना काम करा, उसको ऑपरेशन की कितनी समझ है, या आपस में ही अगर दो फाउंडर्स मिल गए तो आपस में उनकी क्या कॉम्प्लीमेंट्री स्किल्स है, राइट? सो एवरीबडी वांट्स टू बी अ फाउंडर, एवरीबडी वांट्स टू बी अ वीसी इन्वेस्टर, but without realizing the challenges that a person goes through, right? अदरवाइज तो जो मैकेंजी या बीसीजी या बेन थे, वो ही सिर्फ कंपनी चला रहे होते, राइट? सो इट इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट दैट यू मस्ट हैव some experience, right? Some people are born gifted, like let's say Ritesh, but most others who have succeeded have also worked in organizations, faced those ups and downs, and faced those challenges.
We will take few more questions, few last two, three questions. If anybody has any question, please do drop your questions in question and answer box. Uh, Rohit, you had mentioned in your book that now you have got a real dost called ChatGPT. Can you talk about how AI is defining, how is it working for you? How is it changing?
So, it has increased my level of curiosity. So, why do I call it a dost? Because दोस्त का क्या होता है, जवाब देता है without any biases or without any personal agenda,
Sure.
right? So now you have a McKinsey plus plus available to you on your fingertips. You can instantly get answers, right? So whether it is a philosophical answer or is it a domain driven answer, you can get answers on both. The point is, so I attended an AI boot camp and I thought कि मेरे को तो कुछ आता ही नहीं है AI में. So this guy, I said, to my understanding, if I know what is my domain and what is the problem I'm trying to solve, so domain can be horizontal, it can be vertical. And I must have a clarity of thought on what question am I asking, right? And I should see as if, this machine does not have a soul, but it has energy. So we are all energies. This is a philosophical part of it. Now, I don't frame my prompts very well, right? I take it as a given कि ये तो मतलब ये ठीक है, इसमें पूछ लो. And then people have a comment to make, I am outsourcing my brain, etc., etc. But I don't think that is true because I'm not clear what is the answer I'm looking for. What is the problem is he solving for me? So identify what you are solving for, create a good prompt, identify what tool I need to use. I use mostly Chat GPT, and then respect it like a dost, and you will get the answers that you are looking for. Please keep in mind that it has a tendency, or that is how maybe it has been trained to, align with your thinking. But I always, when I'm thinking of that, I say, don't act like a psychopath, right? Please be honest.
So I have this follow-up question. So would you now trust a AI to write the next one pager for your next investment?
वन पेजर फॉर नेक्स्ट इन्वेस्टमेंट नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होगा. मतलब उसमें मेरे को, सो व्हाट विल आई यूज चैट जीपीटी फॉर in my investment? I will use it to do some research. Now it's available in my hands, right? I
Right.
have to ask the right questions. So
Sure.
I will, research मेरे को वहां से मिल जाएगी, but I will still use my human connection. So I would like to believe that being human in the age of AI is becoming even more relevant.
Sure. Um, We will just wait. We'll see if there's any other questions, and if not, then I'll end
So,
this with
maybe just one
sure.
last request. So there are, let's say, 30 participants,
Yeah,
right? If they were to pick up one word or one sentence, what would that be? This will help me in becoming better in responding.
sure. People,
So maybe people can put in their
sure.
comments in the chat.
You guys can answer in the chat box or Q&A sections. We are open. We will take few more questions, and then we'll end this webinar. We'll just wait and see if we have anything.
अगर कुछ नहीं है तो that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, we'll just wait. Uh, you have done it all. Okay. Anurima says founders dost to you,
Right.
right? Uh, you have done
So
it
I will
all.
tell you, there have been situations
Uh,
when I have been on one side and 13 to 15 investors on the other side, and I was fighting for the founder. तो एक हमारे में थोड़ा सा मैंने एक चीज नोट करी है, आई डोंट नो हाउ मच यू गाइस हैव नोटिस्ड, इज हम इन्वेस्टर्स जब होते हैं एंड व्हेन द गाय इज यू नो फेसिंग लॉट्स ऑफ चैलेंजेस, हम उसका गला निचोड़ देते हैं कि भैया मेरे पैसे दे जा, तू मरता है मर जा. राइट, दैट इज नॉट हाउ लाइफ शुड बी. वी आर एक्चुअली सपोज टू बी एंजल्स, बट वी बिहेव लाइक शार्क्स इन सर्टेन सिचुएशंस.
uh, Yuan says guru to you, and yeah, Yuan says guru, and so I have this final question from my end, like that. You have done it everything. You have worked with the one of the biggest family offices. You have built their own legacies there. You have worked with the top world leaders, and now you have started this version 2.0 of yourself, starting up to help early stage founders, right? And you have also debuted with your book Dil Se Dost, which I mentioned earlier. It's available on Amazon. Everybody, you guys can go there and purchase it. And so, what are you looking next to? Is there version 3.0 as you mentioned in your book?
So my book is like my startup. It is, a marathon. It is a 10 to 15-year journey. My goal is to impact at least a million lives through the medium of this book. And if not one, then why not 10? Right?
Sure.
So उसमें मेरे को, so I'm looking for, you know, some angels who can who learn from my book and share it with their people, right? तो उसमें कई बारी आप किताब पढ़ते हो, पढ़ते पढ़ते आपको एक स्माइल आ जाती है. So it could even be 1 billion smiles. Because if it makes you feel happy, my purpose of writing the book has been achieved. So इसको मैं कहता हूँ ऋषि ऋण. So मेरे को जो वेल्थ बनाने में, you know, लोगों ने योगदान दिया या नॉलेज दी या लर्निंग दी, right? I now have to repay that. So that is paying it forward. So one of the things which comes very frequently is, am I able to pay it forward? तो ऋषि ऋण उतारना है, नॉलेज का डेट उतारना है.
Thank you so much for that. And are you working on any another book right now? Or
या एक डेढ़ साल में ये चलेगा, बट इट विल बी अ सीक्वल टू दिस. मे बी इट कुड बी, इफ आई वाज टू डू अ स्टार्टअप, what are the philosophies or practical things that I will use in making my startup. तो कई बार ये होता है कि मेरे को, should I do my own startup, become a founder? But the only thing is, then I will lose out meeting so many people,
sure. Uh,
right?
yeah, we don't have any other questions in the group here. Uh, Thank you so much for coming at
God
such
bless you those.
a
God
note.
bless you those.
And
Thank you.
I can tell you one thing for sure that this book gave me the smile which you were talking about. I was just going through it, and there's multiple times when the smile came up by itself on my face. And thank you for writing this amazing book. And thank
So
you
it
for
is it is filled with authentic stories. And then uh, there are a lot of vulnerabilities, right, that I have shared. So not many people do that, but अगर उसमें वो truth नहीं बोला, so then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So thank you all. God bless you those, and God bless you all who have participated and asked those questions. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, they can write me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. God
Thank
bless
you.
you all.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day.